Yeah, but you're pointing out a big thing, and this is something I hear and I preach about all the time, is the victimhood thing. Now, what's working against us, though, Robert? Victimhood is contagious, and victimhood it's somewhat addictive.
Oh, it is. I love it. I love a good pity party.
Good.
You know, I've had to address it. See, everything I'm talking about, I've had to address in me, right? And for example, I've always said I won't ask one of my clients to do anything I wouldn't do. If I tell somebody, hey, go out tonight, try to get rejected by 5 women, I've done that multiple times, right? I will not, give anybody a challenge that I either haven't already done or I'm not willing to do it right with them side by side. Can you hear it now?
I heard that one.
It's closer.
That one I heard, yeah.
It's right outside my window.
Good.
So I get that thing about being a victim. I'll give you a personal example. I've had an ongoing pattern with my wife, who I love dearly. We've been married almost 8 years now. She's amazing, amazing human being. And we've had this ongoing pattern, and most people who know me know the ongoing story, that she's a jealous Latina. She's Mexican. And, she's never known a sexually faithful man in her life, ever. Every man she's ever known, father, brothers, exes, lovers, friends, spouses of women she's known. Everybody cheats in macho culture. The men all cheat. Now, they're cheating with somebody, so it means the women, are going along with the system as well. So the women aren't victims to it either. In fact, it's the mothers that perpetuate the macho culture. They raise their sons to be, little kings and little princes, like everything revolves around them. So that's all my wife knows. That's her world, is that, men cheat. That's what they do. So she constantly accuses me. Well, you were smiling when you looked at your phone. You must have a girlfriend. Or who are you messaging? Who are those hearts I saw on your phone? Oh, that's my guy friends. We send each other lots of heart emoticons. And so I would like defend myself, vindicate myself, feel falsely accused. And this went on, for a good part of our marriage. I got into a men's program. I got into coaching because I got triggers here. My wife has triggers. They're hers to work on. I got to work on my triggers. Mm-hmm. And so I had to learn to ground myself, soothe myself, just hear where she's coming from, hear her emotional content, not the factual content. Stuff I knew, but it was triggering my nervous system. And then I read a book probably 2-3 years ago called Existential Kink. And a good book. I highly recommend it. It's a little bit of a shotgun woo-woo approach of different stuff. But she quotes Carl Jung frequently in the book. And one of the quotes she quotes multiple times is, having is evidence of wanting. I thought, okay. I do tend to get people in my life who falsely accuse me of stuff. What's that pattern for? What about that do I want or do I need? And I thought, I don't like being falsely accused. My dad did it all the time. Oh, that's something to pay attention to. I'm trying to be different than the bad men that women complain about. I've had previous girlfriends and wives accuse me of all kinds of stuff I haven't done. That's one reason. I know #MeToo was real, and I know women get violated and abused all the time. But I've also had women make up enough stories about me that weren't true that I go, I don't even know how much I can even believe of, this public, me too, I want to, here's how men have victimized me, without going down that. So I had to ask myself, why have I invited this in my life? Why is the having evidence of wanting? Why, according to the author, why does my unconscious want this going on? And then, one of the things that I realized, I like vindicating myself. I like being right. And so almost I have to be accused of something that's wrong for me to get that self-righteous energy. That's not true. I didn't do that. I don't have a girlfriend. Those red hearts are my buddies. Look, you can look at my phone anytime. I don't have any, I know that payoff of feeling like I've been done too. I've been victimized. I've been falsely accused. This isn't fair. I love railing against that. And you're right. It's addictive. And I had to break an addictive habit of defending and vindicating myself, and the hit that I got from that. I got an emotional, psychological, probably dopamine hit from vindicating myself. I'm right. Kind of like I'm doing the Rocky up on the top of Philadelphia courthouse. I'm right. I'm good. I'm the champion. Yay, I won that battle of being falsely accused. And it dawned on me, I don't think I want to do those little celebrations anymore of being right. And as I've worked on not getting a hit out of being a victim, it's funny how much less my wife accuses me of things. It's just totally sucked the energy out of that cycle. She and I had used to have almost not unusual to have it daily of her accusing me of something and me defending myself.
Mm-hmm.
And now that I quit getting a kick out of defending myself and being right, it just took the energy out of the whole cycle. So I do understand that thing of I love being a victim. But I tell you what, it doesn't serve us. It doesn't serve the world. It doesn't serve the people we love. And we men have to deal with that whole victim mentality. It does not serve us. In fact, I'll just throw it out. You know, if we want to dive off into masculine, feminine energies, being a victim is a feminine energy, and that's not a negative statement towards men or women, but masculine does, feminine is done too, for good or for bad. And so it's the feminine part, energetic part of ourselves that feels victimized. And if we stay in that feminine part, we're not going to get much shit done in life because we're down in what I call our lower feminine. It's our masculine that gets things done. And so we are going to get done too. And I tell people, you can be a victim without being victimized. Shit can happen to us. I do have a leaf blower going outside of me, but I'm not going to feel victimized by it, right? So we get the choice. We get the choice.
It's funny you mentioned there are content creators, whatever you want to call them, that do in fact prey upon the victimhood of men and that victimhood mentality.
There's money to be made. There's status to be had.
There's people out there that will beat the drum of, yeah, you're a victim, and come on over here and I'll tell you how much of a victim you are. And then
I'll sell you my coaching package, my Hustlers University package. I'll sell you, this package, and then you can turn that against them. There's always a weaponizing of that.
There's a weaponizing, and there's always there's a villain. There's someone else to blame.
Yeah.
And in our world, the person to blame is the women in our lives. That's what I hear more often than not. None of these women can be trusted. I'll have guys that'll say, Ralph, are you aware that 30% of the children out there, 30%, that's not an insignificant number, are fathered by someone other than the guy who they think is
I've heard that statistic.
And it's like, boy, that sounds awful high. And all you have to do is do some digging, do some Googling, and you're like, that is nowhere near.
All right, I'll quit giving that statistic then. I've heard the same thing.
Well, but here's the kicker. Who says this? Well, people that do paternity testing. Well, let's further qualify this. Somebody who's bringing their kids into a clinic saying, I want to test this kid to see if he's genetically mine.
Probably have a good reason to do it.
There you go. Right away. Yeah.
I know. Nobody in my family has red hair. I just can't explain why my kid, freckle-faced redhead.
There you go. And but when we do genetic testing of the population at large, and there are some studies that do this, they look at genetic data and so forth, and they determine that it's the real number. And there were two separate studies that did this. The real number is between 1% to 2%.
Yeah, so there's some women out there that cuckle their partners. Yeah, it happens.
1% to 2%. That's it. It's not 30.
That's what I'm talking about when we weaponize things. Like a term that somebody completely pulled out of their ass. If you look up the history of it, the term hypergamy.
Yeah.
Someone pulled it out of their ass. Said this is a cool sounding word, and it makes women sound evil and bad. And so, you can't swing a dead cat without bumping into hypergamy on the internet. Everybody sounds smart because they like to use the word hypergamy. And, they base it on evolutionary psychology, and all women are always going to trade up to the next richest guy. They're always out to get us. And fuck, women marry losers and stay with them all the time. They marry drug addicts. They marry unemployed men. They marry guys in prison and stay with them. If you actually look around, you don't really see all that much hypergamy. Now, do you see women in general being security-seeking creatures? Yeah, as I heard David Data say one time. If you give a woman the choice of a man who has the looks of George Clooney, the heart of Jesus, and we've got two guys they can pick from. They're both identical in that, their good looks, the heart of Jesus. One has the money of Bill Gates, and the other's the town pauper. Which one will they choose? No brainer, because they'll pick the guy with the money. Of course they would. They're not stupid. But again, to weaponize that, we could turn the whole thing around and say, well, look at men. All men do is they keep going down to the next youngest person that they could find. I've done that. I joke with my friends. My wife Lupita, I think, is starting into menopause at 47. I'm on my third marriage, and I my friends will go, "Oh yeah, it's a bitch going through menopause." I go, "I've never done it. I've always traded down before I ever got there." Now that was not an intentional pathway for me. It just kind of worked that way. So we men have our patterns. Yeah, if you boil it down, what are men attracted to? Barbie dolls. What are women attracted to? Ken. Okay. That's not rocket science, but that doesn't make anybody evil or out to get anybody. Are there some gold digging women out there? Yeah. Who funds them? Us. Are there women out there? I just learned about, what is it? OnlyFriends? Is that what it's called?
OnlyFans?
OnlyFans. I don't even know the name of it. I had Mark Farabee come on my program last night. He's done like some documentaries about it. And the whole sugar daddy thing. Mm-hmm. And men will complain, well, women, they just have to be good looking. And, they can make $30,000 a month on OnlyFans and this and that. Guy, who's paying them? Who's opening up the wallet, taking out the credit card, and giving these young women who are smart enough to take the money? Who's paying them? Who's the victim here? Right? There are no victims. We're co-creating the systems that we complain about. So anyway, we're talking about statistics.
Yeah, and not only that, this is a tale as old as time. It's the world's oldest profession, sex work. That's
because there's always going to be a sex drive. It's every living creature has a sex drive. Every living thing has an imperative to procreate after its own genetic makeup. So of course that's always going to be taken advantage of. Mm-hmm. Now, kind of going back to the victim thing, you've probably seen this. There's nothing worse than a super intelligent guy, a highly intelligent guy who feels like he's been victimized and is passive aggressive. Those guys can be just out and out monsters, out and out mean. And again, I love men, but almost the more intelligent and the more data and information you can give somebody that who already feels victimized and done to, they're going to go out and wreak havoc in this world. And that does scare me. That does scare me. The victim mentality, when we get like school shooters and things like that. Now that's mental illness, but it's mental illness to think getting a gun and killing a bunch of people is a logical step to take. But it's not a large step away from just walking around feeling done to and victimized and being, judgmental of everybody out there because, oh, they seem to have the good life. I don't. They must, it must be their fault. I don't have a good life. Or, she's a pretty woman. How come she won't talk to me? It's her fault that I'm lonely. That stuff's just not only not going to get us anywhere, it can take on highly destructive proportions.
Oh, yeah.
And that does concern me, which is another reason why I want to empower men out of that space. And I'll go back to where most of these situations are of our own making. Now, I will add to this. Our ancestors had something, and you know all about this and understand it. Our ancestors got taught how to live an adult masculine life by their fathers, the men in their tribe, their ancestors. They were initiated. They were taught to get comfortable feeling uncomfortable. They were taught to break out of that seeking of female validation. They were taught, the hierarchy of how things work and what you have to get good at to succeed in this world and to get what you want. And unfortunately, that's not happening. It didn't happen much for my generation, baby boom generation. It didn't happen for the millennials. My son's a millennial. He just turned 39. A lot of the young men, you mentioned the, estrangement from our fathers. When I started working with nice guys, a lot of guys said, well, I just wasn't close to my dad, or my dad wasn't around, or he divorced my mom, or he worked all the time, or he was an alcoholic. Or nowadays, the thing I hear most often is men, millennials, saying, my dad was a nice guy. And all he taught me was, don't piss off your mother.
Yep.
Because that's what he was trying. That was his goal in life. Don't piss off the woman he's married to. So a lot of guys tell me that, and now you've got the Generation Z that from the time they were 3 days old, their parents stuck a smartphone in their hands and they've been entertained by smartphones. They've had information pushed to them from the day they were born. And that's the world that they live in. And they may be the most informed generation that's ever walked this planet, but they don't have skills because they're always looking at their phones. I can't get a man of age 35 or below I can't get him to take social media apps off his phone. Just take them off your phone. Leave them on your computer. You do social media. Do it on your computer, not on your phone. They get a deer in the headlight look. What will I do if I can't be scrolling Instagram or on X or doing this on, the swipe right? They've just grown up with this stuff. And so it's not their fault. I mean, we gave them this stuff. We put these phones in their hand. We pushed the information to them, whether it's the porn, the social media, the videos, the Netflix, the YouTube, and nowhere in there are they required to do anything that develops any sense of mastery in life. They just keep consuming. And so it's not really their fault. I don't like the blame thing. I don't like to victimize anybody. But I think I love what you're doing. I love what I'm doing. That's why I do 5 to 6 to 10 interviews a week. If I get asked, I do them because we got an important message we've got to get out there that men like you and I are helping these younger generations find skills to actually get what they want in life. And typically you don't get that just binging out on Netflix and Instagram and porn and TikTok. Oh, that's right. You're a TikTok influencer. We won't go there. So
I'm on all of them.
You have done well, haven't you?
I'm on all of them. Yeah. And, talking about this social media feed and everything, what makes it more nefarious is that not only is this
I love that word. That's a good word.
Isn't it? Not only is it distracting, not only is it just kind of like junk food for the brain or whatever, but what does it put in front of you? The things that you're interested in. These programs are extremely smart. Oh, you have an interest in misogynistic content? You have an interest in victim content? Here's more of it. Here's more of it. Yeah. And it's an endless
echo chamber. Supply. Just get more of whatever you look at, you're going to get more.
You're going to get more and more of it. And
so, of course, we're going to think it's truth. We're going to believe that's the truth of the world. Because, look, all the information on the internet supports what I look at, what I believe to be true. And, so whether you look at pro-vaccine or anti-vaccine, pro-red pill, anti-red pill, pro-feminism, anti-feminism, pro-woke, anti-woke, it doesn't matter what you look at, you're going to get a shitload of it because that's one of the many reasons I'm not a fan of social media. I think it does great destruction, has done great destruction, is going to do even greater destruction with AI. That's just me. Not a fan. Never have been a fan. Never have liked Facebook. Never liked Mark Zuckerberg and anything that he does or stands for. Can we use it to support our businesses? Yeah, it works. Is it doing good in the world? I think that's highly debatable, and that debate is going on, but it's going to win because it's captured us. It's captured our attention. The algorithms work. They know how to keep us doing this and doing this all day, all night. Yeah. I have to make rules to myself. I'm not even on social media. I don't have personal accounts on social media. I've got business accounts. But I don't even have that on my phone. But I still have to make rules to myself. I don't take my phone to the bathroom. I don't need my phone in the bathroom, right? 15 years ago, we didn't have these phones. We went to the bathroom without them, right? We had books sitting on the back of the toilet. Remember Reader's Guide? Remember Reader's Guide? Maybe we can blame Reader's Guide. Maybe Reader's Guide was the precursor of like social media and all these little snippets because it was just shortened little articles that you could read, while one trip to the bathroom. Yeah. So it's Reader's Guide's fault. I never even thought of that before.
Reader's Digest and TV Guide.
Reader's Digest. I'm conflating them. Them.
Oh,
Thank you.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. I remember being so bored, you would just grab random items in the bathroom and started, reading the back of them and stuff. And
reading ads. Okay.
There you go. Whatever. But and this echo chamber thing, and it feeds the victimhood mentality, and then the what corresponds to the victimhood mentality is not only woe is me, but also I'm seeing a lot of men kind of, I don't know how best to put this, pedestalizing themselves, where men are almost infallible and not capable of the awfulness that we see of the women in our lives. So anytime somebody comes up and says, well, men aren't, we're no angels, like what you just did, like
Yeah.
men tend to, look for the younger gals and go to that way. A lot of men are like, will say, no, that's nonsense. That's propaganda. Men do no such thing. It's all the women. And I'm like, oh, now we're getting into some really scary stuff where not only is victimhood, but we're capable of no wrong. I was like, oh, come on, dude. We're capable of
Yeah.
a lot of bad things. We're human beings,
Well,
for goodness sakes.
well, we